Podcasting out of Alliance Wrestling Studios, pontificating on pro wrestling, the innovator of Talk NWA, he is J. Cal!
Mira, guys, check this out. With me today, Thunder Rosa. She's unstoppable. She is your NWA Women's Champion. But did you know that she's also the TJD? You're going to have to tell me this. The Princess Champion? What is the Princess Champion? Thunder Rosa, welcome to the show. This is the Alliance Guys podcast. I'm sorry, say that one more time.
The International Princess Champion. Get it right.
Yeah, my apologies. International Princess, of course. And, I've been trying to get this interview with you for a while, Thunder Rosa. In fact, my good friend Steve was messaging me in Atlanta at the first set of Power tapings. You know Steve from SoCal Uncensored. He was saying, hey, Thunder Rosa's there. And I said, wait, what? Thunder Rosa's there? He goes, yeah, Thunder Rosa's there. You want me to get you? How the hell are you getting me an interview, Steve? Yeah, absolutely, get me an interview. Obviously, things didn't pan out because you were busy and it was late, so we didn't get a chance to talk then, but here it is 6 months later, and we're still talking NWA. First of all, congratulations on the Women's Championship. Congratulations on all the success you've had.
Thank you.
And I don't know if a lot of people ask you this, but are you doing okay? COVID-19, are you and your family safe? Are you guys doing well?
We are doing well. I mean, Texas we opened a little early, and the cases have been going up. I mean, I've been very careful because I train with a group of people. We're all MMA fighters. So one of them just got signed to UFC. So we have to be very careful at, going to like big gatherings and stuff like that. And like, I'm a little concerned because I have work and I have to go and go to shows, right? And it's my responsibility for the team too to like not, be around a lot of people. But yeah, we're staying safe. We're practicing social distancing as much as we can, but when we're in a MMA gym, it's kind of hard to practice social distancing. But like I said, we are taking care of each other.
Right.
Working with each other, not working with other people that we don't know, just to make sure that we take care of what we need to take care of. But my husband has been working the whole entire time. We're using masks. I mean, the whole entire time we have used our masks. I have wash my hands, do the whole thing. I've pulled in an airplane before, like probably like a month ago. I went to California, it was really safe. So I clean up. I'm just very careful because you never know. I mean, you can get it anywhere.
Right, right. And well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad that you guys are doing well, that you're staying safe, because of course, everyone's well-being is more important than all this other stuff. And of course, we want to make sure that they're cheering for, throughout the NWA or wherever else you are competing in and wrestling. Ultimately, we'd like for you to be safe. I want to talk to you about UC Berkeley. Now, traditionally, I'm not trying to commit any stereotype here, but you're college educated. You were working in sociology before you started pro wrestling. Tell me about your days in Berkeley and how you went from that to pro wrestling. It doesn't seem like that's a normal transition.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Like, wrestling was not in my plan ever in my life, Like, I didn't want to be an entertainer.
Right.
I didn't want to have like a large following on my Instagram or social media. I didn't think that I was going to be wrestling all over the world and meeting awesome people. So UC Berkeley happened after I came to the United States when I was 17, and my goal in life was always to go to a university. I didn't care what university, but I wanted to get an education. And that's like ever since I remember. The opportunity came for me to go to UC Berkeley after I became really involved in school politics, and I was the vice president of the student government. And this is at the time where I met my husband, Brian Cervantes, who's been like my biggest supporter and the biggest pain in the ass, pushing me to do everything that I need to do to be successful, because I didn't really believe in myself for the longest. I was very insecure about my English, about everything. I mean, I didn't speak English. It took me 4 years to transfer to UC Berkeley, because I didn't speak English. So I had to like learn how to write and learn how to speak in public. And I wanted to be in political science, but because I was missing some classes, I didn't get in. So the interesting thing is, because I became so involved in school politics, the opportunity was given to me to apply to the best schools in California. That was UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC San Diego, Irvine, and Riverside. My husband took me to all those schools so I could visit them and see them all before we made a decision. And I remember when we went to UC Berkeley, he was like, "Yeah, I think I can see myself living here." But at this time, we were like about to move in with each other, and I was like, "Oh my God, I don't know what to do with my life." So I transferred to UC Berkeley, and I stayed there for 2 years. And those 2 years, I remember we moved on an Aerostar van, 1986. It took us 15 hours from San Diego to Berkeley because it was overheating. Yeah. So when he used it for a month because he got a job. He transferred to another job, and then the whole like 2008 economic collapse happened.
Oh yeah.
I was let go from work. So literally, we didn't have no money, no family, nothing.
Wow.
And I remember he was telling me like, I have the GI Bill, and I was like, duh, go to school, man. My first semester, I finished my first semester. He started his first semester right after I started my second semester in UC Berkeley, and like from right off the bat, I was the one like, you need to get involved in school politics. That's gonna get you to the next level. That's gonna give you the scholarships, because that helped me to get scholarships and to like get more network and like find out more stuff that I probably couldn't like access to it. So he got involved, and man, it was crazy because we both got really involved in school politics. So we were like activists. We were going to like Black Panther meetings. We were like organizing people. We were just doing a bunch of stuff, because we wanted to help our community. And like we both felt with Oakland, because we used to live in Oakland. And I used to work with a lot of people that I didn't really work before in San Diego, and I learned how to like love my environment regardless of how crappy it was, by helping others. We volunteer, we help kids by playing tennis with them, by doing work after school. I was doing a lot of volunteer work in East Oakland with kids, how to teach them how to read and write.
Wow.
I bet I know how to do that myself. So kids that I was in their shoes before, and I felt like it was always so needed to do that. And I mean, Brian was helping all kinds of students, and he was like, we created a really strong community of people that, you know, like we will call them the rejects. Like all the international students will come to our house and we teach them about Thanksgiving, and, you know, and then we'll like organize them and help them how to like get to where they needed to get. Because again, I was an immigrant student. So I did 2 years in UC Berkeley. I was the first in my family to graduate from UC Berkeley, which was a huge deal for me. I still remember like sitting on the chair in the theater. My parents were in the back, and I'm just sitting there and looking at everything, and I'm just like, oh my God, I just graduated from college. Like, this was insane. Like, and like all the personal BS that we went through, like it was just adding to it. And it's just like, I didn't let any of that, you know, distract me from my goal, who was to get my education. But that, for those formative years of like me going to community college and getting involved in school politics, really like brought so many skills now to my professional wrestling career. Because
for sure.
You know, not only helped me on, but it also working where I worked after I graduated. You know, I worked with at-risk youth that were severely abused and that had mental health problems. I did that for how many years? Like 4 or 5 years after I graduated, and I was supposed to go and get a master's degree. And I swear to God, I still have the application ready to be sent. It was ready. I had my, you know, there's a recommendation, all the stuff. And for some reason, it was the same year that I started wrestling. So I was like, nah, I think I can make more money wrestling, you know, and I can like probably meet more people and like help more people, you know. And it's just like, and that was my goal, you know. And like I said, we did a lot of this stuff together. Like he pushed me in the gym. I never really worked out or anything like that, and it was just like he pushed me. He lost like 100 pounds. I lost like 20 pounds when I first started wrestling. And
what was the catalyst though? I mean, college degree, thinking about going for that master's, and then all of a sudden, boom, pro wrestling. I mean, what was the transition? Like, what got you there?
We used to go to a lot of like sorry, I'm like scratching my face. To a lot of indie shows in Oakland. I was working at this place called Thunder Road when I started going there. Like the jobs that we both had, it was very stressful. Like and I told you, I worked in a rehab facility. I worked in community with kids. So for me, wrestling was a escape, you know, of reality. It was once a month, and we used to go to like Hood Slam and just have fun and just yell at the wrestlers and, you know, just get belligerent. And then we'll go home, and I was like, man, I can't wait for next month, right? And we met a lot of people. We met a lot of fans. I was a fan myself. And we used to travel together too sometimes. And then from there, one of my friends, Donovan Troy, he used to go to APW, old APW in Hayward, California.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go there, but my friend didn't work that time, and we didn't have a car. So literally, we took the BART, which is a train in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And we rode our bikes to the place because we wanted to watch the show. So we watched the show, and I remember sitting there, and I was like, damn, this motherfucker's like getting up. The first thing I said, you know, and it was like incredible. It was just incredible. And then
a lot different environment from Hood Slam, I imagine.
It was the total opposite, right? And then that same day, my husband went to he was supposed to go to college because he was transferring from community college to a regular college. And then that same day we went to the show, and then that same day it was a tryout was offered to like people that were there. Hey, if you want to be a wrestler, you should try out tomorrow. We do like pay $50 and try it out, right? And my husband was like,
right.
You should try it out. I mean, why can you lose? And I'm like, bro, I gotta work a double tomorrow. Like, I can't just be like, hey guys, I'm not coming in. Oh yes, you can. Just do it. And I was like, oh, you're absolutely insane. So I did it, and I went there. I fucking died. It was like, it was so hard back then. If I do it now, I'll probably smoke everybody. But like we ran like 3 miles, and after the miles, we did like so many squats. Like, oh my God, we're doing rolls. In my life, I rolled. In my life, I've done like bumps, like the most uncoordinated person in the world, because I was just always studying, you know. And I was like, I told my husband, I got 4th place. I'm ready to do this. And he's like, hey, I got my scholarship money. I think you should use it, you know. And I'm just like, no, but that's your money for school. And he's like, Melissa, your money's my money. We'll make it up.
Yeah.
So I use that money to pay for the school, and then Roland Alexander passes away, and I lost all the money
Oh no.
and no school. So, but you know, we learned so much from him. We used to travel with, you know, just like wrestling in general. And at that time, Roland changed his heart a lot. He was different than he was 10 years ago. And
Yeah.
we really like him, you know, we hung out with him, and it really hit us when he passed away. And then I remember we were all like gathering at his house, and after he passed away, we went to his house, and it was very somber. And you know, I had to ask the question, the very uncomfortable question. So what's gonna happen with the school? And then somebody looked at me, and they're like, "It's over."
Wow.
I'm like, "What do you mean it's over? Like, there's no school? Like, nobody's gonna take over?" He's like, "No."
Wow.
That's when we were like drove home, and I remember I was crying. I was like, "Hey man, we just lost $2,700. $2,700. Right? How are we gonna do this?" And then we looked at each other. It's like, it's gonna be fine, and we're just talking, whatever. And then we got home, and I remember looking at Brian, and I told him, like, we're gonna make 20 times more than the wife we just lost. I'm not gonna stop until we make it in wrestling, and you're gonna be with me the whole entire time. He's like, yeah, I got you. Like, whatever you want, whatever. So from there on, it was just like,
Nice.
yeah.
That's, I mean, we kind of know how the story goes because, I mean, obviously you're now the NWA Women's Champion. Of course, you've wrestled all over the world, but it's pretty cool to hear the story that you guys, you know, Bonnie and Clyde, you had each other's back. That's all you had, and it had a happy ending. So, but I mean, of course, there's lots to talk about in between. I mean, you started off. I mean, one of the things I found incredibly interesting about your career is that you started in October of 2014. That's when you debuted. That was your first wrestling match.
The most horrible ever.
Be that as it may, you were in Japan in 6 months. I mean, that's almost unheard of. And it's like a lot of us wrestling fans kind of glamorize Japan as being like, well, if you make it in Japan, you've made it. You're a star. But in reality, in 6 months, you got to Stardom, which is really the top Joshi promotion in the world.
Yes. And I didn't realize I got there.
But you were there in 6 months. I mean, explain. I mean,
you are there on the. I was at the right place at the right time. There was somebody that was looking for foreign talent.
Okay.
And little Melissa was looking for foreign talent, and she hit me up. She saw me, and she's like, "You have potential. You want to go to Japan?" And I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, duh, yeah. So I had a flexible job that allowed me to take. Hold on, I'm gonna go and get some electrolytes because I'm like cramping so bad. I'm like 6 hours today.
No worries.
And I forgot to take electrolytes, and we were training at 202 or 205 degree weather in the gym.
Good Lord.
So yeah, it's intense. Okay, so she asked me if I was interested in going, and I was working in youth homes, and I was a counselor, so I had like 8 clients. And then I went and told my boss was always really like cool and chill, and they were very supportive about wrestling. So I went and I was like, "Hey man, you know what? I got an opportunity that I've been waiting for it." And that was one of my goals in life. I want to go to Japan, and I'm going to be able to wrestle in Japan. However, I need 3 months off. And he was like, "You know what? If it's like the only time that you're going to do that, you can take a leave of absence. And then when you come back, you still have your job, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got this, you know." And then I'm cursing a lot because I'm excited. Sorry.
No worries. We're good. We're good.
So I pretty much, it was hard, man, because this is like the first time that Brian and I were like separated for that long, and I didn't plan ahead well. I didn't know how to get a Wi-Fi and like just to have like it was an experience, like going to a different country, being like in America, having your ideas about how things run in America, and then you come to like Japan, and you're like, whoa, like what? You got and women are treated how? You know, it was just kind of like very eye-opening for me, you know. And I met a lot of wonderful people there. I made wonderful relationships and network. That was the most important part. I always went there to network. I met so many different people from so many different countries and so many different companies that they allowed me to go to Mexico, that allowed me to go to Europe, that it just like I really use that for me as a platform. And that's when I remember I told my husband, listen, man, when I go to Japan, given the fact that I'm older, that I'm Mexican, that I'm not your typical like 21-year-old white girl that they love, you know, because they love really young girls, and white even better.
Yeah.
I need to use this as a platform because they ain't gonna push me. And I already know I came here to do a job, and that's to put the girls over. No matter how good I am or how good I will become, that's what I'm here for. And that was like that was eye opening for me, you know. And I mean, you come there and you think you're gonna become a star and whatever. Some girls went there, nobody even knew they were there, you know. So I was like, I'm gonna put myself over, no matter what. If I'm gonna go come in here do the jobbing work, I'm gonna put myself over, you know. And I remember like giving this, like my last month there, after I was like out for a month with a concussion. I was talking to Chris Wolf, and I looked at her and said, don't ever let anybody tell you what you can or cannot do. This is for me learning experience that when I come back to America, I'm gonna take over the fucking world. Watch me, you know. Watch me. They told me I can't be a star. Well, I'm gonna be so undeniably good and popular, not because of how I look, but because I can freaking work, you know. And she was like, oh my God, you're amazing. And that just put a light on my ass. And then Brian, when I came back, he already had like 10 bookings for me. So there was no time to rest. It was just like bum, 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 bum. Then we had the Stardom USA show, and that's where I was drafted for Lucha Underground. And that's how everything happened. From there, I went to Lucha Underground, and then from there, I went to Mexico. And I had my shows in Mexico. That was the first time that I went to Mexico. And that's another experience of how to work with a lot of people complain here about the conditions that we work in. But when you go and work in Mexico, and you work in the indies in Mexico and see how like the girls, like, you stop complaining. And that's when I was like, I gained so much respect for some of these luchadoras or these wrestlers, because they're mothers. They travel for hours. And I remember I took Brian with me, and he was like, how many more trains do I have to take to get like, I don't know, man, like 3 or 4. And then we have to take 3 trains to a bus. From the bus, we have to take another bus, more trains, and somebody will pick us up and take us to our hotel. It was insane, man. It was like, I complain about driving 6 hours, man. Taking the metro in the middle of the day, and then taking a bus, and then come back in the middle of the night, and then figure it out how you're gonna get home. It's intense. And then when you have adding that you have kids and you have a job the next day, it's insane.
So let me ask you this real quick. At this point, I mean, you're literally 6 months into your career. You're in Japan. You're coming home. You're already getting dates in Mexico. You're starting Lucha Underground. You're working the NorCal Indies. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I mean, like, okay, so Brian got you these dates, but good Lord, we're talking about less than a year in the business, and you've already got a signed deal. So you're working with Lucha Underground, and like you said, you're working in Mexico, you're working in Japan, you're working in NorCal, SoCal, you're working all over the United States, really. I mean, wow, how does that happen so quickly? I mean, that's an anomaly. Most people don't get that far that fast. Why is it different for you? How does that work?
You don't sit around. You don't sit around, and I had to, like, he was working with me, and it was him and I at the beginning, you know. It was like him and I, and so he'd be. So I'm like terrible with dates and, like, you know, certain stuff, and he'd be like on my ass about it. Did you like respond to this person? Did you respond to that person? Blah blah blah. And then some people started seeing some stuff, and they're like, hey, you want to come to like the East Coast? Sure, you know. You want to do this? Sure, you know. And then again, the networking part is so important. I cannot stress that enough. You know, once you meet somebody, you have to follow through, and then you ask for an opportunity. I was very lucky that I like the big opportunities that have come to me is because we put it in the universe and they come to us. Very few times in where I had to multiple times ask to be booked on a place. I strongly believe if they want you, they will come and get you. And that's where you have the most leverage. Because if you're always asking and asking and asking and asking and asking, I mean, they're going to give you a chance like after like 50,000 times.
Yeah.
But for me, like if they don't want me, they're not going to ask me, you know? But that's why I work so hard. And we work so hard on making the Thunder Rosa brand, um, visible there, like it's in your face. Because if they're gonna want me, and I'm looking at you straight in the eye, they're gonna come and get me.
Yeah.
So we never sat around and wait for opportunities. If opportunities was they weren't there for us, we will make them happen, and that's what we did. I was never afraid of making things happen. Like when I went to Europe too, we make that happen because I know there was no promoter gonna fly me out there and try to do stuff. So we made it happen, and I stayed there for a month and it was amazing, amazing opportunity. I met so many wonderful people. Again, it was this because I met them through Stardom in Japan, because they happened to be there. And that's like for us it's been something that we continuously work. And even now, I've been in the business for 6 years. We continue to make things happen, no matter what people say, and no matter how much shade people want to put on us. We make things happen because if I sit on my ass, it's gonna be 16 years in the business, and I'm gonna be like, man, I wish I would have done this. Man, I wish I would have done. I can't do that. I'm 34. I'm about to be 34 years old. I don't have a lot of time in this business. I don't want to be wrestling when I'm 50. By the time I'm 50, I want to be like probably retired, with 3 businesses. That's what I want to do.
So that's pretty awesome that you're already thinking ahead. I mean, you've got a plan for almost 15 years down the road. You brought up branding and when I went to school, I kind of went for marketing and branding, and I'm always paying attention to branding. I mean, I have my brand right here. I see your brand behind you. How did you build that brand, and what came into the development of Thunder Rosa? How did you go from Mel Cervantes to Thunder Rosa? What was the what was the catalyst for that?
It was a team. It was always a team effort. And like when we created the name Thunder Rosa, one is because we wanted to have something that had to do with when I started. I started working at Thunder Road. That's the time when I started training for wrestling. And then Brian is very big on like, if you're gonna chant the name, it has to like sound cool and stuff. So we like threw some names in there, Donovan Troy, him and I, and we came up with Thunder Rosa. And then the Sugar Skull came because somebody from Lucha Extreme, Manny Fernandez, and he thought that it would be cool for me to wear Sugar Skull thing because he wanted to bring more Latinos in there because he was running in Merced, California, which is like nothing but Latinos.
Yeah.
So I used a full face. He didn't like it. He said I was too pretty for it, so he started using half of it. Then when I came back from Japan, when I was in Japan, that's when I started using it because I wasn't getting over, and I was like, I gotta get myself over before I leave, because I want to come back. And we put the half face, and people loved it. Like they were like, oh my god, it's pretty cool, But it had a meaning behind it, and then we play around, and then I made my first shirt, and it was like the Sugar Skull and said Thunder Rosa, and then everything after is like make sure that like the t-shirts are really cool. They're very colorful. They're completely different than everybody else's. All the merchandise need to be unique. They needed to be that people wanted, kids wanted, parents wanted, everybody wants it. So we started using a lot of like Latino elements into it. And right now we're just evolving even more and more and more. Like we're using, I can tell you the Loteria shirt that I had, that I printed probably like 2-3 years ago, people still ask me for it. This one right here in black and white, this is like one of the most popular ones, and I use it. This is my banner for my fight, and people love this because it's just like, it looks so badass, and this is a photographer here from Austin. So
I'm here.
yes.
Sorry about that.
No,
Camera
okay.
just
And everything again is just like, it has to be branded to everybody. I just don't want like one person. I want kids. I want the grandparents. I want everybody to like it, and that's what we've been able to do. And also, Brian, like Drago's about to start barking at me right now. He's like looking at me like, take me out. it's very important. I'm a very genuine person. What you see is what you get. This is who
Yeah.
I am. I'm not, no gimmicks, nothing. You know, for me, it's very important that I have to show that to the fans and I have to show that to people so they understand this is not just I'm putting something in the ring. This is who I am. I'm a fighter. I'm a warrior. I'm a smart woman. I know what I want. I'm confident. And, that's Thunder Rosa, man. But multiply by 30,000.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty awesome story. So it wasn't just like happenstance. It sounds like it was pretty documented, pretty researched, pretty like you said, a team effort that built that brand. And again, 6 years in the business, but with everything that you've accomplished in such a short amount of time, I think you and your team, including Brian and everyone else that's helped you get to that point, I mean, definitely deserve a pat on the back because that's pretty good stuff.
And,
Um,
and another important part is like we continue to evolve. We don't stay stagnant.
right,
We have to evolve in this business. Like you cannot be doing the same thing all the time because people are gonna get tired. There's
right, of
so
course.
much more. There's so many things in the market right now. You have to make sure you stay, current.
Now, speaking of staying current, but kind of pulling the wheels backwards a little bit, let's talk about your time in Lucha Underground because again, you're in the business for less than a year. You're signed with Lucha Underground. They put you under the guise of Cobra Moon. Was that hard for you to kind of change gears and try to become this different character?
My friend, what do you think? Of course. First of all, is lucha. I am trained American style wrestling. Like learning another freaking language. Lucha is another language. It's
Yeah.
another monster of its own. But it opened so many doors again because was forced to learn fast and quick. I thought they were bringing me for a dark match. They put me on TV. I had no TV experience whatsoever. So my first season was kind of like, they were trying to see what they can do with me. I was super green. I cannot watch those matches. Like, my husband puts them on and I turn it off. Like, I'm like, this is not me. Because I had to create everything needed to be new. Like, I could not be using my moves. I could not be using Thunder Rosa. I had to, do this, freaking, slithering and I wasn't used to. But that's the cool part of it. Because if you're a person or you're an entertainer, you can be multifaceted, and you're not one dimensional. And for me, it's very important. I cannot be one dimensional because that's gonna stop me from opportunities. I'm an entertainer first, and then wrestler second. If an opportunity comes for me and they want me to do I love ring announcing. I will do ring announcing. If they want me to sing, I will sing. It's like that's a cool part of being a wrestler. You can do a bunch of stuff. So we researched it. I went to Mexico City. I studied history of Mexico, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I started putting a lot of the stuff together. Then second season, they didn't want me to wrestle. They just wanted me to manage. Fine, I said, I'm gonna get this character over, get paid the same thing that the guys are getting paid, and they're killing themselves, and I'm gonna. So it was a great learning experience. The last season I was there, I was able to wrestle a little more. I'm still the trios champion.
I was gonna say that. That's on my notes right here. Trios title.
Yeah, and it was a great learning experience. I was able to network with some of the top elite talent in the world, and some of them I still talk to them. One of the few people I talk to, and I talk to her pretty often, is Sexy Star. She is very polarizing, but she's a great friend, and she is somebody that I look up to because she is so strong in what she believes and she goes for it. So that's one of the qualities that she has, and I don't think a lot of people see that as being a bitch, but I think that's the reason why she's been where she's been at, and she's been a great support for me. And who else do I talk to from there? Matt Cross, when I see him around, we still talk. Like I said, I learned so much from a lot of the luchadors there, and it was good. It was good for the time that I was there. everything, the contract and all that BS, it was just like, it was a pain in the ass, honestly.
Sure.
That's another thing. Guys, if you are about to start a contract, read the darn thing. Take it to a lawyer before you sign anything. That's what taught me. I got stuck in that contract for 5 years. I couldn't go anywhere, until finally we were able to be released, and I was really happy.
I remember Kevin Kleinrock was warning a lot of talent. Kevin Kleinrock of Master Public, also the guy that was responsible for a lot of XPW and those things back in the day. He was warning talent, hey, make sure you're being careful when you sign that contract, because there's a lot of clauses in it that weren't so talent friendly, and I guess that's something that you had to deal with as well.
Yeah, and he's definitely one of the people that guided me to whoever I needed to be guided to get the class lawsuit action that we did, and and I'm really thankful, that happened, and it happened the way that needed to happen. I mean, I can't complain. It was my choice to sign that.
Sure.
And it was my fault not to pay attention and not to ask for what I deserved, because I was so eager, and it was the first opportunity, and Lucha Underground was hot, and it was like the hot thing.
Yeah.
But again, I'm telling you, it was a learning experience in every single aspect.
You're real familiar with Southern California wrestling. You were a part of the scene for a long time, and I say a long time, but I mean, your career hasn't been so long yet. But you were here. 2016 SoCal Uncensored Women Wrestler of the Year, and I can go on and on about that. And Lucha Underground was a hot thing out here, especially because that's where they filmed it. And Lucha Underground got so many accolades from the fans because we didn't see the bad side, but we just saw what was presented on TV, or for those of us who went to the temple, and it just looked cool. The whole cinematic storytelling. I mean, it was kind of like the pioneer to what the WWE is doing right now, and they were doing that like 4 or 5 years ago. So it was kind of cool that you were part of something that's now being more utilized by the bigger wrestling promotions. But talking about SoCal, because that's near and dear to my heart. I'm SoCal based, and I know that you had a lot of great matches out here. But let's also talk about Sabotage. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the promotion you and Brian started. That started in SoCal and also came to Texas. Let's talk about Sabotage.
Well, Sabotage was, as the name says, the Sabotage. It was an incredible, crazy story where something was supposed to happen. It didn't happen. The opportunity was there to run a show, and then I told Brian, hey, man, so we might be able to, start our own shit. And then he was like, how much are we talking about? And I was like, I don't know, a pretty penny. And he was like, fuck it, it's time to do it. And I was just like, bro, we got 6 weeks to put the show together. He's like, oh, we're gonna do it. Man, it was the most insane thing I probably done in a while. I remember I pulled every number that I had, and I called every single female that I knew. Hey man, you want to come down to Cali? And he's like, yeah, but you know what? But we're starting this thing new. The guy from Japan is gonna be here. You might be able to maybe get to go over there just to be seen by him. Some people from Lucha Underground are probably gonna be there too. I mean, you never know. Opportunities will be there. All these girls, man, they came from Canada, from Texas, the East Coast, Mexico, Kairi and I forgot her name, and there was another chick from Japan too, from Stardom.
Yeah.
Yokobito was there. Fucking Rossi was there.
I'm not gonna try to say those names. I don't do well with Japanese.
Yeah. So everybody was there, man, and it was insane. And the amount of support that we had from all the fans, it was incredible, man. It was insane. I remember driving down to LA, because we lived in Oakland when we were running the show, just to promote the show, man. Just putting posters. Brian was doing that, I was doing that, our friends were doing that. We bringing the kids with us. It was a team effort. But the cool part was that people were willing to help us because they really like us as people. And again, I treat my fans with respect. You give me respect, I give you respect back. And that's what they really appreciated. So that was pretty dope when we saw that, and we saw the place. It was packed. Our first show was packed. Shut up. And it was insane. It was legit insane. It led the foundation for for a lot of cool stuff for women's wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think the first show wasn't the cool one. The second one, it was the second one, right? That we'd run in East LA when PWG was running. Same night.
Yeah.
We packed that place up. And I remember I was so nervous because we didn't have big names and, nothing. And the place was packed, and the energy that we had there, it's like unmatchable. Like I would love to go back there and enjoy that day again. I had so much fun, and everybody was like so excited to be there. And we all had so much fun, and it was just like we were just riding this like wave because we didn't live in LA, but we were making things happen. And then the next show was in San Diego. This is before we moved to Texas. But it was like we had a show in Texas because I came to Texas, and I was telling Ryan, I was like, there's no women's wrestling here, man. Like, we got to start something else, And we moved the show. We drove a couple girls from Cali to here, and we ran the show here. I mean, there wasn't a big crowd, but it was like we started putting the seed on people on how to like support women's wrestling, right? And then we just started bringing people to like do like just to scout to see where they can go. And a lot of people were scouted, and they started going to Shine, Shimmer, and stuff. Like opportunities came for them. Right. So some Christy James went to Japan. And it was just like the connections that we have. We just brought them in because we wanted to like bring more awareness of professional wrestling here in the Midwest, and then the Southwest, and then California. And then we did the first intergender show in California, all intergender. That was super dope. And then we did the first intergender show here in the state of Texas too. And then everybody started doing, oh yeah, we're the first ones. No. We were the first ones to do an all intergender show I will say in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. I don't know. But no, I'm not. I'm lying. Just in California and in Texas. There have been other intergender shows.
So, I mean, and so much stuff is going on. We haven't even gotten to the part where you started teaming with Holidead. Now, I actually knew of Holidead before I knew of you because of she was working out with Knox Pro Wrestling. But then you guys started teaming together, and it was kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, this makes sense. You had a great look. You guys worked well together. A lot of great chemistry. I know she's your girl, but tell me about that tag team. Was the pairing just an off chance pairing, or I mean, did you guys push for that when you guys were working together, or how did that come apart?
Like the person because they don't have any girls, and you're always wrestling the same girl. I think we had like 6 matches like in a row, and then Brian was like, bro, you guys should tag together. Like, screw this thing, like you wrestle each other. How many times are you gonna be doing the same move to each other? I'm like, yeah. All right. And then they gave us a chance in Oroville, and we did it in Oroville, and then from there, I remember there was a tag team. That was in 2016. We did some stuff in Vendetta Pro, and then and I was like, hey, bro, we're about to go to Japan, man. What's up? We took the titles to Japan, and then that's when I told Camille, I was like, or Holiday, I'm like, we're here to make a name for ourselves, man. Like, if they're not gonna give us a chance, at least we're making a name for ourselves. Like, if we never come back, I'm fine, but I'm not here to just like come here and just do the work. Like, I'm here to like create havoc. And like, man, we had so much fun because it put us with, again, Oedo Tai was like with Kimura and Chris Wolf and Kagetsu, and we were like real like family. We used to hang out together. We used to like go to dinner together. We used to do a lot of stuff together, and man, we like became. That's when Holiday and I. That was the first time that we actually like moved in together. And then after that, she moved in with us in Oakland for a while. So we were living together. We were traveling a lot together because we wanted to really make it work. Then from there, we went to the East Coast to stay there for a month and just tried to like do the little loop in there. Again, because people didn't want to fly us. People didn't want to give us an opportunity. The same thing when we were living in Oakland. We were like driving all the way to San Diego, man. It's like 9-10 hours. Brian will be like driving us and stuff. And it was just like, just hustling, man, and knocking on doors, and like pushing each other like to the next level, like training together and stuff, because we wanted like you don't see like women of color together in a tag team, you know. You always see like same old, you know. We were different, like we don't look like everybody else. We don't wrestle like anybody else, you know. So that was like the conversation I always had. I was like, people are gonna remember us not because, you know, just our face paint. You're gonna remember us because we're good, and they can't match us. It's just like, man, you're cocky. No, I'm not true. And if people don't want to give us an opportunity, fine. You know, I don't care. You know, we are here to do two things: to put ourselves over and make money. You know, if they don't give us the respect, fine. You know, and yeah, like it was an uphill battle, man. Like knocking on the doors and like trying just like make, you know, tell people our worth, because I think we're worth what we were worth back then when we were like, you know, wrestling together all the time. And because we brought people, we promoted, we did promos, we did all this, and still, man, like a lot of times, man, they will bring us in like, man, we had to like, we had some matches that I was just like, oh my god, I will have like such a terrible attitude. I was just like, okay, whatever, you know, we're just here. But that's how the business is, you know. And sometimes you just kind of like gotta bite your tongue and not say anything. But when like we were like riding sometimes, or like coming back from some trips, I'm like, man, that match was awful, man. Like, Jesus Christ, you know. But it's like, I mean, like I said, I have learned so much from that, you know, and I learned so much about not only like having each other's back, because we like legit have each other's back. She's one of my best friends, and she's like my sister. She's family. We've been through thick and thin. Like I can tell you that, you know. And like the separation part when I moved to Texas, and then she had to move back to Cleveland was hard. But again, like it's just a point in where you have to, when you're tagged, like you have to grow as an individual. And I think that at that point, like, the reason why we come to Texas, it was because we want to grow Sabotage, and I want to grow the brand, you know. Now that was the time. That was the time to do it in Texas. There's so much untapped potential.
And you just brought up the word again, brand, and that's something that seems like it's synonymous with your careers, building that brand, whether it be that brand of Thunder Rosa or that brand of the Twisted Sisters, or now the brand of Sabotage, or what's coming next for Thunder Rosa. It's refreshing to me to see the approach that you take to professional wrestling as you're building that brand. And as a guy who loves marketing and likes to see that side of the business, I think that's awesome. I think it's great that that's the mindset you have, you and Brian and your team that are thinking like that branding. I think that's just so awesome. That's really cool. So after, you know, of course, the Twisted Sisters, a little bit of a hiatus, but during that time, I mean, let's talk about, you know, a lot of people think you were introduced into the NWA at NWA Power, but realistically, you've been working matches for the NWA for quite a while. The NWA that we know it today, obviously, with Billy Corgan, is different from the NWA you started off working with, like Vendetta Pro, with like NWA Black and Blue. I mean, you won the Vendetta tag team titles. They renamed the titles the NWA International Tag Team titles, because I think that's because they knew you were going to Japan to defend them. But all of a sudden, you're the International NWA Tag Team Champions, you and Holidead. They were essentially became an intergender tag team belts. Was that more of your pushing and your drive and your branding, or was that like what Billy and Vendetta was trying to push forward with those tag team titles?
It's us.
That was all you.
Yes, no, not me. Like Brian was like, maybe you guys should ask. And I'm like, no, man. Oh, actually, he asked, and I was like, man, what the fuck, man? Like, no. And he's like, let's watch. And then we ask, and you know, things happen, you know. But it was like, but that really was again a bargain power for us, you know, for Holiday and I in Japan, because people respect the NWA in Japan. It's a very historical, and they're like, oh, NWA, you know. And it was like, that was good. Like, that was a good move, I will say. And then the fact that we are the only females that have defended that title anywhere in the world, and it's on Wikipedia, you guys like it or not, we were made. Yeah. So Yeah, we give them so much value to those titles because again, you can have a title and never do anything with it and then just drop it, right? But if you like give like that value to the title, it makes the title even better and like more prestigious. You know, that's one of the things that I learned with all the titles that I have. I try to defend them as much as possible. When I had the Gold Rush title, I defended it in Mexico. You know,
Yeah.
and in front of the La Reforma, I forgot. It was like a badass place and in front of like 5,000 people.
Wow.
You know, and oh man, that was like one of the coolest places I've wrestled. It was so hot though, but you know, so it's like it's always been my intention to give it more value to what I have, and you know, so that translates to, you know, the titles that I have now too.
And again, going back through your history with the NWA, I mean, you did get to challenge that women's championship early on against Jazz, right after she won the title the first time at NWA Big Apple, the Black and Blue event.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's kind of like we're full circle here, right? Because you get a big opportunity to challenge for that women's championship. You came up short that night, but look at you now. You are the women's champion. And what are your thoughts? Yeah, right. What are your thoughts on Jazz as a performer, as a wrestler? And what did you think of that match that night? And tell me more about how that happened.
I didn't know. I honestly, gonna be completely honest, when they told me, "Oh, you're wrestling Jazz," I remember Holiday, I went insane, just like, "Oh my god, you're wrestling Jazz!" I am the most ignorant in history of wrestling. I didn't watch wrestling.
Right.
I started wrestling at 26. The only people that I knew was the TNA knockouts of, you know, Victoria, Gail Kim, ODB. You know, Madison Rain, all of them. Like, I knew them because that was the wrestling that I watched. I didn't watch WWE, but then I started researching about Jazz, and I was like, oh, she's like, she's a badass, and she's like, yeah, what the you think? And I was like, oh, well, I met her. She was super nice and stuff, and you know, she's a veteran, so I treated her with a lot of respect. And then, you know, I started like getting to know her more on another level, and you know, as a professional wrestler, more as a woman and as a person of color in the business. And I have nothing but respect for what she's done. And I'm terribly sad that she didn't get the respect that she deserved as a performer and as a wrestler, just in general. She's a badass. Like, I've seen her train here in San Antonio with her husband, Rodney Mack, and train the girls, and dude, she can like put you on a pretzel in no time. Like, she's a wrestler, you know. It's like, and like she said in multiple times to us that she wishes she would have, you know, been brought up in this time where she would have been able to showcase all her skills without, without people telling her, no, don't do that because that's too good of a wrestling and that's not what we're looking for, you know. But she's one of the pioneers on you know, modern professional wrestling, I will say, you know. And it's for me, it's an honor every time I get in the ring because we had so much fun, especially now that I have more experience on my first match, you know, because we can't really work, you know, and it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy working with her, and like I said, she's a wonderful human being, and a lot of, I guess now when I see what she went through, like, I don't want no other person of color or women to say that they had to go through what she went through, you know, because it's BS, man. Like, I know this is a place that is dominated by, you know, certain people and it's male dominated, but it's like things are changing rapidly, and I don't think people are ready for it.
Well, you know, I see. I'm a liberal. I'm very like. My mom was a very strong woman. I've always been connected to stronger women, so it's not hard for me to see how quickly things can change because women are incredible. And I do believe that, without a shadow of a doubt, that especially with what you're working on now, I really think you're going to open up some eyes and open up some doors and open up opportunities for a lot of women. And I'm excited about it, actually. I'm really excited about the direction that professional wrestling is going right now. I know we're going through growing pains. I know we are. As a fan, sometimes it's hard to turn on the internet and see what's happening, but I think it's necessary to purge out some of this toxic this toxic behavior to make room for what's positive and make room for opportunities for women of color, for men of color, for everyone. Wrestling should be all inclusive. That's what I was always taught to believe, anyways. And I'm not trying to preach here. I know this is stuff that you've already dealt with and you know all about, but I really think that wrestling is a home for everybody. And I used to say this all the time: wrestling's like 31 flavors of ice cream. They have every single flavor you want. If you like a certain style of wrestling, you can find it. It's there. You just have to look. If you want hardcore, it's there. If you want women's wrestling, if you want intergender wrestling, if you want scientific wrestling, hell, if you just want good wrestling, you can find it anywhere. So I'm excited about what's next for professional wrestling. I just know we're going through some growing pains right now, and it's kind of hard. But I think at the end of the day, we're all going to be better for what's happening right now. But getting back to jazz, and I just wanted to say this too, because my podcast, normally my partners are Kevin Douglas and DKM. Kevin Douglas is a former NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, and he was actually trained by Jazz. And so he's even smartened me up to the business that, yeah, she's legit. She literally could probably out wrestle most of the men in wrestling today. And Kevin's word is the gospel as far as I'm concerned. So I certainly do believe that. And he always had nothing but nice things to say with about Jazz. And I even had an opportunity to interview her when she was in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, when she defended against Heather Monroe. So we, on this side of the table, we probably love Jazz as much as you do. If the opportunity were to arise where you could maybe defend your championship against her, I'm guessing you'd jump at that opportunity.
Oh yeah, totally. Why wouldn't I? You know,
exactly.
Just get in the ring with her is just like, I love getting in the ring with her. I wish I would have. I wish I could have trained with her a little bit more, but like the MMA is like take 90% of my time on training. So
sure.
Yeah, but I have nothing that positive. Nothing to say about her that is not positive. Like she's a wonderful human being.
So let's talk about, because you just brought it up again, MMA. Let's talk about Combates Americanos. That's the first.
Americas.
Americas. I'm adding an N to it. Excuse me. Now this is kind of a cool deal because I could count 3 professional wrestlers that were also, well, actually technically 4 professional wrestlers that were competing in MMA at the same time that they were doing professional wrestling. And we're gonna go with Dan the Beast Severin, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion back in the 90s, and then of course Brock Lesnar, everybody knows, but Scorpio Sky and Thunder Rosa. Those are my 4. And is there more? Am I missing some?
I don't think so.
And I don't think
Star. She's still like active.
Oh, that's right. So Sexy Star. So that's 5. I didn't mean to discount her. I just didn't think about it. So I mean that when I did talk to Scorpio Sky about this, he mentioned that it's very difficult to get in that mindset of MMA versus wrestling. And although they're both combat and they're both sports, obviously one is different than the other. How do you reconcile that in your head when you're competing in the cage versus competing in the ring? And what steps do you do in terms of conditioning and getting ready for your MMA bouts versus your pro wrestling?
So after my first fight, I realized that first of all, I shouldn't have been wrestling that much because I had so many matches during my fight camp, and it was insane. I was missing so much training. Like I didn't have no experience on like striking. Like my stuff comes from heart, and I have the dog in me, and I was just like, I'm just gonna do it, whatever, I'm just gonna get in there. I did 3 rounds, went on decision. I was happy, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with my performance now that I see it because I should have trained more, but I also should have put my foot and say, let me train and give me some more time before I get into a cage because I am not ready. Right now with the COVID, it really made me realize that I need to work even harder if I want to be a good fighter. Because I just don't want to be like, oh man, she fights, but she loses all the time. No. I want to get in that cage, and I want to show whoever is in front of me that, first of all, I'm not about, to be afraid to kick her fucking ass. Right? There ain't no business but to take people down. That's what I do. That's when I get in the cage, that thing is closed. She is trying to kill me or I'm gonna try to kill her. Because she's taking my lunch money. And it's good lunch money that I need for my personal stuff. So in the last 3 months, I can tell you, and my husband can tell you too, I've been training so freaking hard in the mornings, in the afternoons, in the evenings to get better at what I'm doing. I finally was able to earn my blue belt, which took me forever, but I earned it. I'm working on my striking constantly. My training partners are like chewing my ass because they want me to get better, and I listen to them. And that's the most important part. I'm not gonna get better if I slack. Like, this sport is not like it's not like the wrestling. I was like, I got my 3 moves, I hit it, and I'm gone. No, you can't. Hey, bro, let me just hit you with a body slam. Okay, brother. Okay, brother. I'm gonna duck and like give you a drop kick. No, like, you need to, like, I have to learn everything, psychology on this. Like, I still so much to learn. There's still so much to learn. But when when I announce my second fight, I'm gonna tell you that I'm gonna be ready for this. And I have 3 more fights. I'm in a contract with them for 4 fights. But I'm gonna take my time because I want to get better, and I want to be remembered as like, man, she was good. Like, she was good. She tried very hard, and she was good. And that's what I do. Like, everybody sees it at the gym, which is not that I want him for them to see that, but it's like it's just like a reassurance that I'm working hard. I go there, I get my ass beat all the time. I try to beat ass even when I'm dead tired. Like right now, I was talking to you, I have cramps, and it's just like, but this one has taught me too that I have to like get rid of toxic people in my life because those are distractions. So all distractions are gone, and I'm so focused right now on my personal goals and professional wrestling, and then also in what I'm trying to like develop here in Texas, and like hopefully, in the next couple of years we start taking it to other places, or in the next couple of months, we don't know yet, because of the COVID. But bad things that happen to everybody, I took into a positive. Like, I started training here in my house. I started training outside. I just started like boxing a lot more. I started being more consistent. I started being more disciplined, because discipline is everything, on everything, man. And I'm really blessed that MMA happened in my life, because I think I needed it. It was like that push. I was telling my husband, I'm so bored with wrestling. I think I've done a lot of stuff. I've been a lot of places. I'm not challenged. I need to be mentally challenged, and I need to be constantly challenged. That's like my mentality since I was a young girl. I have to have that, to like thrive. Like, I gotta thrive on like the worst scenarios, brother. So that's what MMA has done for me, and I am so blessed. I met wonderful people, and a lot of people were actually involved in the pro wrestling business. So when I go to LA, I'm training with a bunch of people. I met so many wonderful, strong women in the business, from UFC, from Invicta, from like, Fury local places. And we have become like friends on social media. And then we like give each other like, oh man, you look wonderful. Good luck on your fight, and like I'm reading this book, and this is from Roxy, the happy fighter. She trains she fights in UFC, and she's friends with Desi Dorada, which is another wrestler. And just like knowing those people, and like you like create other type of relationships. So it's like open the world to more things for me and for my family.
Sure.
It's pretty dope.
No kidding. And so with all this, kind of takes me to that next topic, which is, I mean, beginning of the year, not in 1 month, you win 2 major championships. You become the Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling International Princess Champion.
Yes.
And you become the women's champion of the world, of the National Wrestling Alliance. We're calling that belt the Burke. Us NWA fans are calling it the Burke, for Mildred Burke, and I'm sure people have told you enough about that. But how cool is that, number one, to win 2 pretty significant championships on 2 different continents, 2 different hemispheres? I mean, you practically are dominating women's wrestling, unlike what most people haven't seen. And I mean, I know COVID-19 has really taken, like you said, it's taken a lot away, but it's also brought a lot of positives to you. How is it winning both championships, a Japanese promotion based in the United States? how is that for you in your career? I mean, I'm sure it's very what's the word I'm looking for? It's very it shows that you're doing a great job as a professional wrestler. But what did it mean to you as a pro wrestler? What's it mean to your career?
It's a graduation.
Yeah.
It was a graduation. It's like I graduated in Japan. That was one of my dreams, to win a championship in Japan. Like, what a dream! Like, I think any wrestler in the world that loves Japanese wrestling, just to get a championship in Japan, it was major. And I am continued, and I'm undefeated and undeniable. The first foreigner to win that championship, and just the fact that Takagi-san believed in my abilities as a professional wrestler from the first time I went there, and he told me in my face, shook my hand, and said, "You are a great wrestler." It's just like so humbling, because like I've been working against everybody, and everything, and like people are second generation wrestlers, and like their name is just exploded because that, and because they get good and stuff, and it's just like I was a nobody. I come from nothing, and it's just like that, the first one, boom, graduation. And then I got my master's with the NWA. It's just like, man, like when I had that match, I felt just like I felt like the nervousness and like the adrenaline that I felt in the cage. It was like an incredible moment for me as a professional wrestler, and an incredible moment for me as a person, for all the work that I've done, for like the last couple of years, and like all the sacrifices that my family has to go through for me to like pursue this dream, and then once I got it, and I pinned Allison, which it was an excellent fight. It was an excellent match. I had so much fun. I don't know, man. It was so special. Again, I tell you, like I felt like I graduated from the best school in the world, getting my master's, and I'm ready for a PhD. But right now, I'm just gonna keep working on my thesis statement and on this on this thing, because I think there's a lot more for me as champion. I want to defend these two championships as soon as I can here in Texas, because I know it will probably be the easiest. Because again, before anything happens, I want to make sure that I'm able to like fulfill my duties as a champion. Right now it cannot be in the ring, but it's everything that I'm doing is outside of the ring, which is demonstrating again consistency, dedication, passion, and love for women's wrestling. And that's gonna bring me to talking about Mission Pro Wrestling. These two titles, again, are a platform for me to speak to other women that are becoming professional wrestlers, that are their first year or their whatever year, and we're trying to do something different, and we're trying to have an all women run show, not only in the ring, but also in production, photography, DJ, everything we can. We're trying to have women involved, and we have had so many women that are so excited about this. And we're trying to move to a way where, like how I was talking to you about marketing and business, that's what we try. That's my vision. What I'm trying to teach the new generations, or like even now with some of the girls that are struggling to make ends meet with the COVID-19, like that. For me, it was pivotal for me to start thinking outside the box and like really start making some serious money when I'm not wrestling. Which we know, when you get injured, what is the first thing you do? A lot of people do GoFunds. I don't feel like doing GoFund because you're asking already a lot from your fans.
Yeah.
But it's like there's other ways that we can make a living, but I don't think those are things that they're not taught at schools. And those are things that my husband and I, we knew because we worked in businesses before. We went to college. I went to college. I knew how to network. I knew how to talk to people. Those are the most important things that you need to understand and you need to learn. And I don't feel like we're taught enough. Like I remember I actually looked at one of my notebooks, and I write notes in like my journals and stuff. And there was one 2 years ago, and I went to this Medusa seminar, and she didn't stress on it. I don't think a lot of people think like that, but she is stressed enough. Like probably she said it like 50,000 times. Trademark your name, ladies. You guys are your brand, and she keeps saying that. And I see like she puts her money where where her mouth is, like always, and she's like, she has this deal with like Harley Davidson right now in clothing. I'm like, bro, it's just, oh my God. So like, but going back to that, This year I got my trademark. I trademarked my name.
Good for you.
I made sure I save up some money, and it wasn't cheap. But Kevin helped me. He was, hey man, how do I do this? And he's like, this is how you do it. Boom. But that's what I'm saying. Like I go and ask people that have the knowledge to help me out, and that's what we need as women in the business, to make sure we take care of ourselves and we take care of our families, man. Because many girls, they were stuck in relationships, and now everything's coming to light, and where they being abused, and they being like, if you say something, I'm gonna blackmail you, or if you do this, your career is over. I've seen it so many times. I've
Yeah.
seen it so many times, and I am so happy a lot of the girls talk, and I know there's so many other girls, so many other people that are not ready to tell a story. But again, we need to find solutions now. That now that the Speak Up movement came out, we need to find solutions, and where we can find opportunities for women to thrive in this business. It is time. It's 2020, and yes, we're gonna go against some people that don't like the fact that people do costumes, and that's another conversation for another day. But we have costumes in our promotion, because I believe the girls can make money doing wrestling, and it's something that they shouldn't be ashamed of doing, because right now people are wrestling in closed studios. There were there were no fans there. Nobody was saying anything. Oh my gosh, that's custom wrestling. No, nobody's saying anything, because they normalize it, right?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like, it is okay to do certain things, to make a living, and that's fine. But let's teach our new generations that it's okay to say no, that it is okay to, like, know your rights, and it is okay to, like, move away and do what you need to do to keep yourself safe.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
what I'm trying to do. And then last thing, before you ask me a question, and I'll put this out there. My friend Emily from California, she's been working diligently to work on a something called the Safe Wrestling Collective. I posted it on my social media, and she's done so much work and research with human resource people and attorneys to try to bring different programs to help schools, to help promotions on how to deal with sexual harassment and
Yeah.
other aspects of what the Speak Out movement it is. Because I think a lot of people feel very uncomfortable, and a lot of people got blackballed, a lot of them, because they spoke out. And that's the main reason why people don't want any issues. But at the end of the
Right.
day, we're gonna get blackballed. And
Yeah.
probably, me taking this risk, I might be one of them. But again, I was put in this world, and I'm doing this right now, not because I want to make money. I mean, in the future, yes, I want to make money. I want to make sure
Yeah.
we keep promotion. But again, is to make a difference. Enough is enough. Enough with this blackmail and BS. If you don't like me, fine. If you have a problem with me, fine. Stop with this. Stop with the harassment. Stop with the abuse. Like, it's too much. We still have to deal with so much crap in the wrestling business, with the politics and everything, on top of all the other stuff. And this comes
Yeah.
from men and women, man. And it's sad, and that's why we're trying to make a change. Like, if you guys get an opportunity, please go to Safe Wrestling Collective, and we have some assessment there, and we need to know where we need to start working on. This week I'm focused on talking to some schools here and some promotions, and see how can we help them, and if they're interested in, like, implementing some of the stuff. We need to implement change, man. It is time.
And we'll make sure to put a link to that in the video comments, and we'll also run it underneath the screen too, because that is important. Like we were discussing earlier, wrestling should be all inclusive, and like you said, every victim needs to be heard, and everybody should feel safe and comfortable in the confines of, like you said, for us fans, it's an escape. For you, it's a career, and everyone should feel safe and comfortable in that environment. And if you can't feel safe and comfortable in that environment, then Jesus, I mean, let it all go away. Then just let it all go, because it needs to be safe. And that's one of the things that I will commend the NWA for doing right now. They were one of the first ones to say, hey, we're not going to put on any more shows until things are a lot more contained with this virus. And you're looking at more and more empty venue arenas, and I get it, because people need to work. I understand that. I totally do. But I think safety for the performers, the wrestlers, the camera operators, the announcers, everybody, it needs to be paramount. And so, again, this is a different side of that, but I still think it's just as important, if not more important. Right now, we got to protect the people involved with wrestling if we plan to keep going forward with wrestling.
Yeah, because you know what? I mean, a lot of people with COVID, this is the end. This is the last year probably in wrestling. It was one reason or another, the fact that we're not running shows, the fact that, things are again in a transition period. And some people can't really stand it anymore, and just because it had become so toxic. And it's always been this uh, culture of silence. And I mean, I can't tell you how many messages I used to get, and some of the stuff that I have to go through, and it's hard. It's been a hard couple of 10 days, and I talked to some of my friends called me crying, that they couldn't even read any of the stuff anymore. That's why for me it's important that I focus all my energy, and my husband focused all this energy in changing things here locally so we can go nationally, and hopefully, like I said, in the next couple of years things will be different. Even in the indie scene, we're not even talking on the bigger scale, because that's another monster for another day. But
Right.
We're trying so hard, and like I said, we need allies. You need other people that believe in change to make change happen, and that's what Safe Wrestling Collective, now with Mission Pro Wrestling, we're trying to do something. And it's not oh, it's just because it's what's hit, and because I want to get likes, and because man, I dare anybody to put money of their savings to try to make a change, because this is the hardest part of the job, doing all the footwork, all the grassroots work. Everybody's really hyped to jump into oh my god, you this blah, blah, blah. Now my family, my team right now, we're focused on what we're doing. We believe in what we're doing. And if people don't believe it and they still they're gonna criticize us, whatever, fine. We're gonna show them with our success that things can happen, and other people will start to follow, which is what we try and we want to see too.
Well, goddamn, I'm inspired, Thunder Rosa. I really, I'm excited for what you are bringing to the table, what you and Brian collectively are bringing to the table. I'm inspired because girl empowerment shouldn't just be a catchphrase or a hashtag. It really should be a movement in professional wrestling, and I really do want to see something positive come from this. This has been so hard, not just for the talent, but for fans. People that we admired turned out to be pieces of shit, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. They did, and we were disappointed by these people, and if we have to go through this, at least we're going to see something positive at the end of it, and that's what I'm hoping for anyway. So if there's anything that the Alliance can do to help with Mission Pro, please, we would like to promote your events when they happen. If you have anything positive to say, to release, let us know. We'll use our little forum that we have to help spread that positive message that you and Brian are trying to put out.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's our team. Mission Pro, it's a team. How many people we have now, Brian, in their team? There's a lot of people on the team, and like I said, they believe in what we're doing. Again, we believe in giving and the different aspects that we're working on to build it bigger and to make it better. We believe on having respect for our talent. And yes, right now we don't have a big budget, but the people are in the show, they believe in what we're doing, and we're gonna take care of them like we always have, and treat them with respect, which is the number one thing when you work in a promotion, when you feel like people are treating you with respect and they treat you like human. You want to keep coming back, and that's what we did in Sabotage. And our people that worked in our first show, they still remember us, and they're like, man, I wish you would have have that more and whatever. But this is different. Times are changing. It's a big, like I said, it's a big sacrifice for Brian, Jeremiah, and I. We're fronting the money. Like, he has a regular job and we got to save up, we had money saved up for a show anyways when it didn't happen. But it's like, we're really trying to make something different, and I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, but if you're not if you don't challenge yourself, if you don't challenge the status quo, nothing is gonna change, and I said, I don't want to do it about me. I don't want to do it about Brian. I want to do it about the team that we have right now. And like I said, we're working super hard, and you guys are gonna hear more news next week about our show, when it's gonna be and everything. But again, we thought about our fans, and we thought about the talent and the staff, and we wanted to do it in August because we're excited, but we have to wait because the COVID is hitting hard in Texas. So fingers crossed, things get better by September. So September is what we're looking at, and again, that gives me time to like create, the business plan and what we're trying to do in the future, and how are we going to implement it. But again, I just want to say thank you to all the fans again. They have donated money. We have a donation button there because we're trying to become self-sufficient. We're trying to get all our own equipment, computers, everything. So we're trying to do everything ourselves. Again, we want to teach other girls how to like edit, how to like record, how to take pictures. Like the importance of that can help them to build their own business too. People don't think that way.
Right.
When I learned how to do all that stuff, and I'm like, oh, now I can record this. Now I can do this for YouTube. Now, so it's always things like that. But it's like, I have a big picture, and I told Brian, I want to do this, and we should do this, and we should do that, But we'll see how well we do on our first show, which I know we're gonna do really well. And people have been like super supportive. The fans have like donated money. They buy in our custom matches, which is another way that we're raising money to have our shows, which is the most important part, because we want to be able to, first of all, number one, if you're running a show, you need to have money to pay your talent.
Yes.
And you should not be, oh man, you know what? We didn't make enough at the door. Sorry, I'm not gonna pay you this time. I've been through it so many times with my friends, or like, oh, I'm sorry, I just rented one room. I kind of want to sleep with you guys in the same room, like the promoter will say, and I'm just like, no, you're not, stuff like that. So yeah, so we want to make sure our ladies are taken care of, that we're able to bring an educational aspect to this too, which is important. And again, with working with the Safe Wrestling Collective, bring awareness to the state of Texas, at least in my area, what I can, and also see what other ladies are interested on becoming advocates for this super important issue, which is, knowing your rights, about harassment, about, just, everything that we have not been able to do if you don't work in a big company. So again, working in the NWA, I don't think I mentioned this, but working in the NWA and talking like in the Girl Power show really opened the doors for me to feel more comfortable talking about certain issues that for some people will be very uncomfortable to bring them up. And I think I want to keep doing that on my own. We're doing some interviews with some of my friends that have gone through like some terrible, terrible experiences. And because of that, and because they spoke out, they were blackballed. But people don't really hear their story really well, and they have never seen what they have gone through. So I want to really start talking to like them, to talk to some MMA fighters that I know, so people like bring the two worlds that I'm in together, and people can see like, how wonderful this is and how strong these women are.
Well, I think that's great, and again, we support you. We appreciate you being so generous with your time today, and wishing nothing but the best for you, Brian, for Mission Pro and everything else that's coming your way. Of course, we're all excited about the return when you can actually get into that ring and defend the NWA Women's Championship, when you can get back to Japan and defend the International Princess title. We're all really excited about that.
It's up. I'm
What? So, anyways, again, thank you so much for your time today, Thunder Rosa. Genuinely appreciate it, and we'll be in touch. I'm looking forward to what's next.
Thank you, and Brian, thanks you for making this. He's like every day since he made the appointment with you. So you have an appointment today. Don't forget about this interview.
Well, thank you, Brian. If you can hear me, I appreciate that, brother.
He can. He's in the other
Okay.
room, but he can.
Well, thanks again, and you have a good